This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Operation Kaveri, India's rescue mission in Sudan. The participants are Anil Kumar Trigunayat, former diplomat, and Rajesh Lake, AIR correspondent.
It's a pleasure to have Mr. Anil Trigunayat with us, and we're discussing on the ongoing violence as it intensifies in Sudan. India has launched Operation Kaveri. What is Operation Kaveri, sir?
Well, as you know, Rajesh ji, we have nearly 3,000 Indians or Indian origin people who have been stuck essentially in this conflict zone, which started off from 15th of April. And currently there is some 72-hour long ceasefire that has been agreed to. So that provides us a window for evacuating those Indians safely from Sudan to nearby countries or to Port Sudan or to Saudi Arabia or Ethiopia or anywhere, wherever it is possible. Now, Operation Kaveri is in fact an operation, as it says, is to evacuate Indians from Sudan. So every time that we have these kind of situations, the name of the mission is given, and that mission name essentially conveys the message that the forces, everybody under this mission is working, be it India's Navy, Air Force, Army, Foreign Ministry. So this becomes country mission to evacuate the Indian citizens. I mean, that is standard practice. But at the same time, I would like to say that situation there is quite dire. At the moment, it has not been... It is a war between two generals, as we know, and indiscriminate firing that takes place. That has several people from different countries have also suffered some injuries or have died even. The whole job of the government of India and the priority has been to how to safely and securely evacuate all the citizens and all these people who would like to come out from the conflict zone safely. That is the most important part of this job. You know, they don't want to rush into anything until and unless our ambassador or embassy are sure that it is a safe corridor, that they can travel through it, and that we can safely evacuate our people. So that is very important. I must say that Indian government has tremendous expertise and experience. Our ambassadors are well trained in these kind of situations. Every embassy has a contingency plan which can be operationalized and activated at any given time, which contains all the basic fundamental details to the country about the evacuation procedures and how this, from where and how these people will be evacuated in consultation and under the direction of the Government of India. And the Government of India in the Ministry of External Affairs has also set up, and which is always, in fact, remains in readiness, which is a 24/7 control room, and they keep following any leads that they get from there, they keep directions to the ambassador, and they keep on liaising with various other countries who are in a similar situation and who may be able to help us in a situation like this. So this is what Operation Kaveri is all about, and I hope all Indians will be brought out safely.
I'm sure they will be, because the three main stakeholders who are coordinating this are the MEA, Indian Air Force, and the Indian Embassy in Sudan.
And Navy also.
And Navy as well. All right. They have been appointed to ensure the proper process of evacuation and that it is followed to the T. Would you like to elaborate on the process that goes on into the evacuation?
Well, it is like this. As you know, that the two aircrafts and naval ship INS Sumedha have been stationed, and they have already started bringing out, and I understand that about 1,100 people have already been evacuated out of those 3,000. Of course, I think that there are many Indians who have been there for generations. About 150 years ago, the first Indians from Saurashtra had gone to Sudan. And they are very rich and big businessmen also, so they have their own. I don't know if they have the Indian passport even now, but even if not, they are still persons of Indian origin. And therefore, what happens is that the embassy conveys to each group of people who have a leader or a co-leader about the movement plans, about the plans of the ceasefire that takes place, that how they will move, what kind of buses, which buses will take them, if at all. If it is a ship hired, then they will go by a ship. If it is by flight, they will be told about the flight and from where they have to come. Because right now, the situation has been, until the ceasefire happened, was that there was indiscriminate firing taking place. So you cannot bring out your people to go out. And we have seen that some of the convoys of some foreign countries have been attacked during the process. So it is important, because the biggest priority for India is to safely bring out people and not let them become casualty unnecessary in this kind of a situation. And so that is a greater responsibility that the Indian government, Indian embassy and ambassador take upon themselves to ensure that these people they are brought out safely. Then there will be, let us say, many people are taken out to Port Sudan, which is about 800 kilometers from Khartoum, the capital, where there are more skirmishes and firing and other incidents are taking place. So those 1,100 people, thereafter they are being taken to Jeddah, many of them, and from there they'll be flown to India. The procedure is once they are brought out, they are looked after. Everything is provided to them. The documents are checked even before they are taken. And then thereafter, whoever requires visa in consultation with Saudi or the other countries, whichever country they are first taken to, those are processed, and then the Indian citizens are flown back into India, and then they are briefed and debriefed here once they come.
So, Mr. Trigunath, you did mention, you did touch upon the crisis in Sudan. If you could elaborate as to what is it that's leading us to evacuate Indians from Sudan?
Well, as you know, the Sudan has been in the throes of these competing claims from various authorities, generals, army, militias for several years now. This was ruled earlier by Omar Bashir, who was a strong man. And he is the one who created this militia called Rapid Support Forces, RSF. And they are the paramilitary forces. And they were used extensively during the 2002-5 crisis in the Darfur region of Sudan. Now, when Bashir was toppled, because of something called Arab Spring, you must have heard, the first time it was in 2010-11, but it did not succeed in Sudan. But this time again, so-called Arab Spring 2.0 had happened, and then the people rose against the regime. And then Bashir was removed. And when Bashir was removed, the General Burhan, who is of the Sudanese army, and the RSF chief, who is General Dagalo, or Hemdeti as he is called, they came into picture and they both started jointly controlling the place. But then the people wanted democracy, they wanted the civilian oversight. So a lot of demonstrations happened in the country and violence also happened. But it was not this scale, because they could not kill every citizen. That's not possible. Therefore, the army eventually agreed for some kind of a joint transition council in which civilians were there, and there was the Prime Minister Hamdok who was appointed. And then in 2021, the army, which takes power, cannot leave power. They removed Hamdok and the coup was there. And these two gentlemen, one of them is General Burhan, as I said, other is General Dagalo. They became number one and number two, and they have been ruling since then. Now, they have been under tremendous international pressure, domestic pressure to revert to the civilian rule and integrate these forces of the Rapid Support Forces of General Dagalo into the army. Now, that's where the real problem began, because General Dagalo has thought that he would like to have a fair share of power. Now, if there is a civilian oversight, if there is civilian government, that none of them really wanted. But General Burhan, since he belongs to the Sudanese forces, he obviously wanted, under pressure, of course, international pressure as well, to have some kind of a transition, but have his own say in the things. But nobody was open. It was supposed to happen on April 11th, but it did not happen. We saw it. And so on April 15th, General Dagalo of the Rapid Support Forces thought it fit to take power from the army, or stake his claims to the power. But personnel differential between the two sides is about 190,000 armed forces and a little over 100,000 of the Rapid Support Forces. And so both of them have lethal weapons, and both of them have been fighting one another indiscriminately. So this is the reason, and that is why it has been happening since April 15th. And it's already about 10 days gone by, 11 days. So we hope that 5 times the international community tried to have the ceasefire, but this is the last time that 72 hours ceasefire has been agreed to, and number of people are being evacuated by different countries.
So primarily this is to disrupt the process of democratic installation of the government.
That's right, absolutely. But as you know, that both of them have tasted power, and none of them wants to give up, frankly.
So when we come back to the evacuation that we are undertaking, who's overseeing the operation? We did mention about the MEA, Indian Air Force, Indian Embassy and the Navy. And these are the 4 major players?
Well, these are the four major players basically who are working out the logistics of evacuation. But we have a Minister of State, Mr. V. Muralidharan, whom Prime Minister Modi has sent there to personally oversee the evacuations. And he's been doing that along with the team that is there. And now many of all our embassies in the neighboring countries have chipped in, all ambassadors. Likewise, our embassy there, which is operating not from the embassy premises at the moment, but they have been able to evacuate 1,100 people. So yes, it's a whole of government approach, I would say, rather than a single person. But the Minister Muralidharan is in charge at the moment there. Prime Minister Modi is personally seized with the matter. As you know, a few days ago, he had called for a meeting with all the concerned stakeholders who are going to be involved in this and asked them to take whatever action was necessary to evacuate every Indian safely.
And if somebody wants to be evacuated, what is it that person needs to do?
Well, our embassy there has everywhere we have this procedure where Indians are encouraged to register with the embassy. It is not compulsory, but it helps them. So a large number of people do register with the embassy, so we know who they are, where they are, and how they can be contacted. And that's why the embassy has been able to get in touch with most of the people, actually. And the rest would come to know through others, and then they get in touch with the embassy. So embassy gives instructions directly to them. And of course, the general instructions are also issued from Delhi for everybody in the public domain, which is there. Certain control room numbers are available in case nobody is able to get in touch with the embassy. They can get in touch with Delhi or wherever. So all these, the people are contacted, then they're advised exactly how to proceed in this kind of a situation. And then the buses are provided, the other means of transport and logistical support, and even food, medicine, everything is provided to the extent possible. You know, when a warlike situation happens, then there is a scarcity of many things. It's not easy to get it, even though you may store something for about a week or so. People do undergo a lot of difficulties, but I think the life is more important than comfort.
Mr. Trigunath, the rescue operation has been named Kaveri to establish a metaphorical significance. Would you elaborate on that?
Well, I would not be able to do that because I don't know why. But it is possible that the Kaveri is in Karnataka and there's something started there, but I don't know really. It is for the army or navy to basically decide the name of the. Even a lot of our ships are named after some rivers or some people and all that, you know. So basic idea is that it is simply a name.
I would like to add here, if you don't mind, that the operation is named Operation Kaveri to establish the significance that rivers reach their destination despite the barriers that they go through. And here River Kaveri is portrayed as a mother, if I may say so, who will ensure that she brings her children back home safely. So that's
true.
Is there a message that you want to give out to Indians, those who are listening in India, regarding the operation?
Well, I would like to assure them that they must have confidence in their government and the people who are doing it or conducting these operations. And if they have any relatives or friends there, they must advise them to follow the advice of the embassy and move accordingly and not be very judgmental or impatient, because that is something that will be evacuated. And they must know that India is one of the few countries in the world that has always, in every situation, has taken out and helped its citizens.
On that note, thank you very much for being part of All India Radio.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Operation Kaveri, India's rescue mission in Sudan. The participants were Anil Kumar Trigunath, former diplomat, and Rajesh Lake, AIR correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 928-909-4044.